Welcome to Bay Rats and Buoys Season 2 with your host, Captain Gaige.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. I'm your host, Captain Gaige. This is episode number 52, celebrating our 1-year anniversary as a podcast, not missing an episode for 52 weeks. That's a big accomplishment. And guys, this episode 52 is not just a celebration of our anniversary. It really is a celebration of the journey and the people and the community that it took to make this podcast happen. And it wasn't possible if it wasn't for you guys. So it's not just a celebration of Bay Rats and Buoys. We are celebrating you guys, and you guys get a big round of applause. I feel like there should be a big balloon drop here in the studio. But again, there's no production crew. There's no script. This entire 52-week podcast has been unscripted and raw right here in front of a camera, a microphone, and myself, most of the time sitting on the boat. This episode, I felt it was best to get into the studio. We got the high winds coming. I did put out a public service announcement this week for everybody to go tend to your boat and check on it because we do have Tropical Storm Jerry heading our way. So hopefully you got out and checked on your lines and made sure it's tight. You got until tonight to do that because Sunday and Monday we're expected to have some high winds in our area. So to kick off episode 52, let's start off with the raffle because we did say we were going to have an anniversary raffle and give something away to one lucky listener. And we'll probably give away 2 different prizes because one of them is going to be a fishing combo. It is going to be a Star Rods Stellar Lite medium fast 6-foot 6-inch rod with a Stradic 3000 with 20-pound braid. This is the ultimate blackfish fishing rod, and you could also use it for fluke. But let me tell you, this time of the year, that rod is going to come in handy. You guys are going to catch monster blackfish, and I'm going to tell you how you can register and enter into this raffle, okay? It's very simple. Now, I know it's not fair to just say to everybody, go to YouTube and do something or go to Facebook because everybody watches this podcast on different platforms, and I totally get that, okay? So, doesn't matter what platform you watch this podcast on, whether you listen to the audio version on iHeartRadio or you get it on Amazon Music or wherever you listen to your audio podcast, the video version is available on YouTube, sandcitycharter.com, and Facebook. So, doesn't matter where you listen to it, just go right in the comments, congrats, with hashtag BayRatsYear1, and you will be entered in to the raffle. All right? Next week, I plan on doing a live episode where I'm going to give away that rod to the winner in the episode, and we're going to do it live on all our platforms because of all the new technology and the stuff that we've built into the studio. We're going to be able to do live events and live stuff. We plan on going live at the boat show. But let's get back to the raffle, okay? Comment congrats, hashtag BayRatsYear1. You will be entering to win a Star Rods Stellar Lite medium fast 6-foot 6-inch with 20-pound braid on a Stradic 3000. I'll show you a video of it here. This is all possible thanks to High Hook Bait and Tackle in Huntington. So, it's easy and it's free to enter, and all of the listeners can do it. I mean, we have a big fan base in Brooklyn. We don't care where you are. If you win this combo, I'm getting the rod and reel to you. No questions asked. And we will pick the winner. I'm going to try to go live for the first time on Bay Rats and Buoys, the podcast, next week. All right? So that's the best way to enter on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Doesn't matter where you get this. I will put up the raffle and this video available on all social media platforms so you can comment, congrats, hashtag BayRatsYear1, and you will be entered into the raffle. Now, check this out. Here's another perk for you. Another way that you can enter multiple times, okay? If you share it to your stories and you share it in all your social media feeds, they will all count as an entry into the raffle. Okay, so if you share it on 4 different social media feeds, I will put your name into the raffle 4 times. You'll have 4 chances to win the rod. Okay, so get out there on all the different channels, share the video, post a hashtag, write congrats with hashtag BayRatsYear1, and you'll be entered to win Star Rods Stellar Lite medium fast, 6 foot 6 inch. You see it here in the video with the Stradic, 3,000 with 20-pound braid, ready for Blackfish season. Thanks to High Hook Bait and Tackle over in Huntington. All right, guys, there is so much to talk about, and stick around. I really have a great story, something that happened to me out on the water last Friday, and you are going to want to hear about it. You might even get a chance to make fun of me. But yeah, I got a great story for you. Lots is going on. Great time of the year. We're really excited about this 1-year anniversary. There's so many things to do in this episode. We're going to try to squeeze it all in. Like, I really should start off by saying our first guest that we had on this show was in episode number 4, and it was Captain Jacob from the Davy Jones Shellfish Company. And you know, I've had Chef Rob, I had Corey, I had a few other guests on the show. We had people in the boat show series. We had a bunch of guests on there. But I got to say, out of all the guests throughout all the 52-week episodes and people that came on in the boat show series and throughout the year, there wasn't that many, but I got to say, Captain Jacob was the saltiest out of all of them. And that means a lot because the guys that he was contending with, if you look at some of the episodes, whether it was Captain Mike from Nautical School or Corey or Chef Rob, these guys are all, Chef Rob's a hardcore spear fisherman. I mean, there's nobody saltier than Chef Rob wherever he is. I'll tell you that right now. But I got to give it to Captain Jacob. Really, hands down. He is the saltiest one out of everybody. And he was our first guest, and we were very grateful. And because of him, the show has grown. And single-handedly, I mean, he brought us our biggest sponsor here at Bay Rats and Buoys with J&M Seafood. I got the call from Jacob, and he said his friend Matt wants to get involved in the tournament. He wants to be a sponsor. And the minute I spoke to Matt on the phone, he was like, yeah, I sent him over the sponsorships, and he called me back within a minute. He was like, yeah, I want to be the grand prize sponsor. Hands down. It was super fast. It happened all within a minute or two. And we were very grateful because that was really the kickoff to letting us know that Bay Rats and Buoys tournament, the Striped Bass Invitational, our first tournament ever, had a chance at being a successful tournament. You know, it was going to be a success. And, you know, that was the nerve-wracking part of all the different things that we threw at the wall this year to see what would stick. Showing up to the boat show, no one knew who Bay Rats and Buoys was, but yet the National Marine Manufacturers Association took a chance and sponsored us and brought us in and said, here you go, here's a platform we have. Get involved with us, make something big happen, and we did, and it was a huge success. And you know, going back to the boat show, one of my favorite episodes from the boat show was with Captain Mike from Nautical School. And that doesn't make any of the other episodes less interesting because I also met Steven from Clicks, who was a huge sponsor for Bay Rats and Buoys and the Striped Bass Invitational. He showed up with his brother Howard to Whale's Tail for the captain's meeting to give us a big box of his product to hand out to everybody. Absolutely free. It was $1,000 worth of product. And we were very grateful. It was nice of him to do that. They didn't have to, and they did. And throughout the year, we had a lot of great sponsorships and people that got involved. And I will try to do a shout out towards the end of episode 52 and shout everybody out, whether it's on the screen, whether it's verbally, because we have a lot of people to thank for the success of Bay Rats and Buoys. And you could hear the excitement in my voice. This is a super exciting episode. We can't believe that not only we survived a year, but we thrived. Like, this thing actually grew and spawned off into something we had no idea what it was going to be. We really didn't. When we talked about it in the beginning, me, Corey, and the guys that were involved, I have Chef Rob and Michael over at the Fisherman Magazine. Everybody was excited to see where this was going to go and what it was going to turn into. And now looking back 52 weeks, what we created is very exciting. And where this thing goes from here, guys, I have some epic news. I have great things to tell you. Not only sitting here in a newly designed studio and all the new equipment that we have. I mean, we have more construction and another building and another facility going on right now that when I show you that in another month or so, you're going to be blown away. And speaking of new facilities, I have no choice but to mention our biggest sponsor, J&M Seafood, is opening up a new shop in East Setauket. So, and it's amazing. The story I'm going to tell you about last Friday, what happened to me when the boat broke down. I'm going to get into this story shortly. And I'm going to tell you what a small world it is. And messages that I got during the breakdown and what had happened. And you guys are going to be like, there's no way. It's unbelievable. So this is great. I'm going to get into that in just a minute. But J&M Seafood is opening up a phenomenal place. I mean, he built this place from scratch, the construction. And that's why, when you pour your heart and soul into something, it's a lot of work. It's a project. And a lot of times you're halfway through the project and you don't realize the mistakes that you make and the things that have to be changed. And, it costs you money to do these new things and switch and make so there's a lot of work that goes into this, guys. Even when you're doing small construction and stuff to change backdrops in a studio and lighting and cameras and new boards and new microphones and, everything. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of work. So to all the fans out there and to all the listeners that comment and send me amazing messages, there is a way that you guys can help out Bay Rats and Buoys, and that is by heading over to the YouTube channel or Sand City and checking out the YouTube channel. In there, there's a link to Venmo, and you guys can make donations if you're big fans of Bay Rats and Buoys and you love the show. Because I got to tell you, when this show does not go up Thursday at 6 o'clock, the amount of messages that pour into my phone saying, hey, is it going up today? Hey, is it going to be up by 6 o'clock? Because if it's not up by 6, by 6:15, I've already gotten messages asking, where is the show? Because I don't realize it. I don't realize it because I just produce it and put it up and try to get it out in a timely fashion. But you don't realize other people are on schedules and guys are waiting to listen to this when they get out of work on Thursday and they get on the train and they come home from the city. Or they're in their car in traffic for 45 minutes or to an hour and a half, and they tell me stories of, yo, you're killing me. Thursday, I had to listen to the radio coming home because your podcast wasn't up in time. And man, am I grateful for those messages and the comments. And I know people want to buy the merchandise because guys are always asking for the shirts. I'm actually wearing the shirt from the New York Boat Show. All right. This was the New York Boat Show series shirt that me and Dean and Corey and Chef Rob and anybody that came there to help us out staff-wise, inviting people on to the show at the boat show, which we're already doing now this year. The merchandise. So people are asking for the hats and the shirts and the sweatshirts and all that stuff is coming, guys. I mean, this is a huge project. There's a lot involved. There really is. But we're very excited about everything that's happened in the last 52 weeks. And it's all because of you guys. So if you do want to help out Bay Rats and Buoys and make a donation, you can do it through Venmo. The link is in the YouTube channel. Now, excuse me, but when the voice cracks and you need a drink, there's a Yeti cooler on set here somewhere where I could just reach down and get my favorite drink. And you all know what that favorite drink is. It makes it into every episode. And you can hear the ice. And I'm not on the boat, and I don't even care if it drips on me usually. I'm careful about where the condensation goes. But there it is, guys. And speaking of Diet Cokes, Gene and Manny are the only two guys that gave me gifts on the boat when they came on the boat. And Manny, you're awesome. We love you. Gene, thank you so much. And I'm going to shout out all the big commenters and listeners like Frank and all the guys. So those shout outs will happen. I promise you. The Diet Coke is here. And I'm going to tell you the story. I'm going to tell you something happened to me on Friday that could happen to any one of you, and how you got to be prepared and how you handle it is all a result of the outcome, of what happens. Now, me and Chris, who you've seen in some of the videos, he's on Facebook as CT Amato, and awesome guy in my marina, has a boat with spot lock and loves black fishing and fluking. He's a great angler. He really knows what he's doing. And I love that he's passing this on to his kids and his young ones, because they're small and on the boat. My kids are a little older, so they actually get to drive the boat. But I love when people get their kids involved in fishing at a very young age. I think it's one of the best things we could do, is to pass this down to the generations, like Mike is doing with Andrew. The champ is here. Y'all who knew that is. So let's get into Friday's story. And, Mike and Andrew were out in the same area. So this is why we're heading out that way. We headed out east. So me and Chris get on the boat in Huntington. We leave Huntington Harbor. We get underway, and we got great conditions. And I'll show you in the video here. We're flying out east. So we're heading out east. Boat's going about 30 miles an hour. And it's going to take us about 24 minutes to get to where we're going. We're going to head out to the Mount Sinai area and look for the pelagic fish in the area there. And so we get out there. There's a ton of boats. There's really not that many birds working. I'm looking everywhere. I got the radar in bird mode. And, we're expecting to spend the whole day. Fridays is my day off, okay? And I'll take guests from the show out on a Friday and go spend all day. You guys will go hunting with me, and you'll realize how crazy I am and how many different spots we're actually going to go to. I don't just sit around in an area. I am going from spot to spot to spot to spot, and we'll jig, we'll do top water, we'll bring live spot with us, we'll chunk, we'll do everything. We'll live line. That's just a typical day on the water with me. I love being adventurous and heading out to new areas. So me and Chris are out there for a good portion of the morning, and up until then, we had only gotten into some bluefish, and we were heading back from Mount Sinai, coming back, passing. We're about to pass. We can see the ferries coming into Port Jeff. So here comes P.T. Barnum, and we're going about 25 miles an hour. We're close to shore, but not close enough to shore that we could hit any rocks. We're still out in, 24 feet of water. And I know the area well enough because I used to train boaters out of Port Jefferson for the Freedom Boat Club. So I do know that area very, very well. And I got the chart on, got my navionics on. And there's times where I will look and just make sure that I'm not in risk of hitting any rocks. And all of a sudden, we're in gear. Boats, I don't have a throttle that I got to sit there and hold it. So if I want to go 25, I can put it at 25 and stand on the wheel and look around and, look and see if we're seeing any action, seeing any boiling water or swirls in the water or bait. And all of a sudden, me and Chris hear the engine rev out. All of a sudden, it's like, and we're like, oh, that's not good. So pull the boat back into neutral, because now it's not going anywhere. And I said to him, I'm like, you didn't feel anything, right? I mean, he owns a boat. We all know what it feels like to bump something, to even bump the bottom, More or less, I've been on Freedom Boat Clubs when we've actually hit rocks with members driving the boat. And, they rip skegs off, full throttle. I've been on the boat when that happens. So I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel that we hit anything, so shut the engine off, lift it up out of the water. Skeg hasn't been touched. Prop has no dings in it. I'm thinking maybe we wrapped up a line. It wrapped around the tight, and caused the hub to spun or something happened, So we pull up the engine. We don't see anything. Now, mind you, it's an outgoing tide. It's mid-ebb tide, so the tide is moving. And I'm somewhat disabled. Put the engine down, fire up the engine starts. Obviously, that we had nothing wrapped around the prop. So, put it in gear. Now I bump it little by little just to raise the RPMs about 100 at a time and see where we get another rev out, where it's going to rev out at. And we get to about 8 miles an hour, and it revs out on us again. So I said to him, listen, we're not going to limp. We're not going to limp back to Huntington. There's just no way. As a commercial tow captain, I know what my tow speeds are, and I know, what it's going to take, how long it's going to take, at what speed to get back to wherever I'm going. That's part of my job. So I have an idea now that if we leave right now where we are, it's a 2-hour ride back into an outgoing tide. So we just saw the ferry going to Port Jeff. We're not far from the Port Jeff Inlet and head into Port Jefferson Harbor. So that's going to be the smartest decision I can make right now. So I get on the phone and I call the owner of Cito in Port Jefferson. And Pete answers the phone and he says, hey, Gaige, what's up? And I said, well, I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is I don't need to be towed. The bad news is I think I spun my hub. My engine's revving out. So the reason I'm calling him is if this thing gets worse, yes, I am going to need to be towed. And mind you, not only am I a commercial tow captain, but I'm also a member of Cito. I pay for an annual membership. So that if something happens like this to me on the Connecticut side, and I'm at the Norwalk Islands, or I'm fishing on the Connecticut side of the Long Island Sound, that when I call Captain John in Connecticut and say, hey, I'm broken down, I'm not asking him for a favor. I'm a member of Cito. I paid for a membership. So rightfully, I'm going to get my free membership tow back to where I got to go. And that's why I do that, because I don't want to have to call up and ask for a favor. So when I called Pete, I said, hey, listen, I can get to 4 miles an hour here. I'm in an incoming tide, an outgoing tide coming into Port Jefferson. So, depending on how that current's ripping there, if this thing gets worse as I'm getting into the jetty and as I'm entering the harbor there, you got rocks on both sides. So I got to be prepared to throw my anchor. And now you got ferries coming in and out of there. This could turn into, a dangerous situation for any boater, not just me, for anybody. It could get worse. And you got to be prepared for what could happen. So we were ready to throw anchor. I'm ready to put out a disabled flag so other boats that pass by will know that I'm not just sitting there fishing for blackfish on the rocks there, that they actually know that my boat is disabled so that maybe a good Sam comes over and pulls me out of this dangerous area. But thankfully, that did not happen. So my phone call to Pete was, where am I going to put my boat? Because I'm going to have to take an Uber back to Huntington. I'm not going to drive my boat back at 4 knots, risking the hub just totally not spinning at 4 miles an hour, period. So here I am, limping into Port Jefferson. Pete tells me to put it on a mooring, and the shuttle comes out, picks me up, takes me and Chris and our fishing rods back to the dock. We have a fun little story to tell. We take an Uber. Me and Chris are back in Huntington. It's 1 o'clock. Now, it just so happened to be that I wasn't off on that Friday to stay out all day, that we did have a time that me and Chris said we were coming back by. I actually had to be here in this studio to record somebody else's podcast that I produce weekly. And we're in an Uber in Port Jefferson at 1 o'clock. We're back to Huntington by 1:45. Let's say 2 o'clock. We get in our cars and we leave. Now, people in my area saw my boat gone. They see my truck in the lot. They know I'm out of my boat. Well, when they came back, my boat's gone and my truck's gone, and now they're like, something definitely is up. Because how is his boat gone and his truck gone? How'd he work that magic? So that was funny to hear from people when I, got to talk to them and tell them what had happened. So we took the Uber back. I had to come back to the studio here to record. And after that, had to head home because the kids got to go to Friday night skate. And, I take my daughter and her friends to Superior Ice Rink on Friday nights where I met Paul from Kings Park, who commented on the public service announcement. So, again, we have awesome fans at Bay Rats and Buoys. So I broke down at Port Jeff, put it on a mooring, went to the launch, took the Uber to Huntington, went home, took care of business Friday. Now it's Saturday. My boat is disabled and sitting in Port Jefferson. I got a charter Saturday afternoon at 1:30. I'm taking out a group of people from Garden City. And so all morning, I got up early. I'm going to go grab the boat 8 o'clock in the morning, shoot out there 8:45, half hour, 45 minutes to get to Port Jefferson with the trailer. Now, Pete Murphy had said to me when I got back to the dock, he's like, why don't you just throw another prop on and drive the boat home? And I said, because my prognosis is it's a spun hub. What if the lower unit had issues, or what if it's not the spun hub? That's just our diagnosis now, saying, hey, that's what we think it is. So I don't want to run into any issues going back and substantially need a tow. I'd rather just go grab my trailer and pull it out of the water safe and bring it home and work on it, and that's that. So I did just that. I showed up Saturday morning, went home, took it by myself, went home Saturday morning, took the trailer back to Port Jeff, put the boat on the trailer, pull it out. Oh, my God. So now this is the first time I'm pulling my boat out of the water for the season. Normally, I'll take it out end of July, first week in August, just to pull it out at the ramp and brush off some of the stuff that's on the trim tabs, because I brushed them off at the dock while it's in the marina, and I try to keep it as clean as I can. And because I use the boat so much, there's usually not any buildup on it. But let me just tell you, oh, my God, the growth that was on the trim tabs, I'm shocked they even worked. And my trim tabs, I use them a lot because I have passengers on the boat, and they're very, very responsive. I hit up once on one side, down on the other, and the boat levels out, and I use them religiously. So I need my trim tabs working, and they work perfectly. So to me, there was no sign of distress that, there was growth that I couldn't just brush or scrape off. So I pull it out of the water in Port Jeff, and I'm like, oh, my God, look at the transducer, right? It gets better. So the trim tabs, the transducer, everything's got all this growth on it. I'm like, all right. I put the safety straps on. It's all hooked up to the trailer. I take it home. And instead of going to my house, I said, you know what? Let me just pull up to Compass Rose. Because let me go see if Mike has what I need, because Mike has everything. See if he has what I need to fix this problem so that I don't have to call my 1:30 charter and tell them, hey, here's what happened. So I pull up to Compass Rose, go in and tell Mike. Now, what I really needed, I was going there to stop there and purchase to be able to take the crown nut off of the anchor. Take the cotter pin out, take the nut off. I would have needed the tool to do that, right? I think it's what, inch and a quarter. It's a special size. So everybody buys that yellow floating wrench to take the nut off. I didn't have one with me, so I needed one. He didn't have one to sell me. Usually he has one in the shop, and he couldn't find it. So now I'm going to have to take my truck off the trailer, disconnect, and head over to my office in Huntington. So I do just that. Get over to the office, and Captain Mike is there, and tell him what the problem is, and he knows I'm taking the wrench. He comes with me to assist and help out. And now, mind you, I've changed, probably a good 50 props working at Freedom Boat Club. It was an every week occurrence that somebody, we used aluminum props at Freedom Boat Club so that if they did hit a rock, there was a good chance they would just rip that prop up to shreds with it and not knock the lower unit off and do damage to the lower unit or bend the shaft. So I've changed a ton of props. Me and Mike go back over to Compass Rose to Mike. Now you got Mike and Mike. You got Mike, and me. And we're pulling the prop off. So we get the cotter pin off, which was an absolute pain in the nuts. So we finally get the cotter pin off. We take the prop off. And keep in mind, I run fishing charters, right? And over the season, me and Corey have a ton of kids and people fishing on the boat. So we pull the prop off, and I take the seal. And I look at the seal, and I see inside this seal, I see braided line, and it's frayed. And I'm thinking, okay, just going to pull these few frays off and, clean it off. When I tell you, with a pair of Van Staal fishing pliers, I'm pulling this stuff, and more and more is coming out. This thing is starting to look like a Raggedy Ann doll coming out of this thing. That Mike at Compass Rose, he's like, damn, he goes, that's a lot of braid in there. He goes, holy cow. So Captain Mike gives me his knife, because here's another basic tip. All good captains always have a knife on their hip. You always have to have a knife with you, especially as a commercial tow captain, in case you have to cut a line in an emergency. You have 3 seconds to react. That's 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3, and you could be flipped over or dead. It's that fast. So having a knife on you is very important. Anyway, Mike gives me his knife. I saw into this braid with the knife and start to finally make a dent in pulling this braid off of the, off of the seal. And it was unbelievable how much braid was in there. So this is what led to the seal and the innards of the prop, spinning the hub. And the hub having the issue that we had. 100%. Now, we get line caught in our prop all the time because of the kids on the back of the boat fishing. I pull up the engine. We actually use a gaff. We get both sides and we pull it out. And a lot of times we think we're getting it out, but I can't tell you how many times there had to line go into the prop that we probably didn't even know about, because that's how much was in here. This was incredible. So throughout the season, I will now pull off the prop and check the seal. It's very easy to do. So when lines do get wrapped in the prop, I'm not just going to get back to the dock and assume that we took out most of the braid. I'll pull the prop and check the seal so that this doesn't happen again. But thankfully, it was a spun hub. Now, inside Compass Rose, Mike has a saltwater series prop that should fit. It's an M17. Very standard prop. And luckily, back at the shop, we have half a dozen props that are M17 and the right rotation. So I head back to the shop. I grab one of them, bring it back, put it on. Bada bing, bada boom. Tighten a few things up. Now it's 12:30. It's about 12, a little after 12 o'clock. And I'm going to go drop the boat in the water. So I get over to the ramp, take the safety straps off. I'm about to drop it in the water. And I did. I had to clean off the trim tabs. I cleaned off the transducer, which Mike at Compass Rose made a funny comment. And he was like, yeah, good luck with that transducer. My transducer is like this long. It's as long as the arm on this mic stand on the boom. The thing was hanging straight down. I mean, mind you, this is a $5,000 unit that we just put in this season. This new Simrad, the side scan, everything. My transducer has so much growth on it, and the screws on the side And thank God it's screws and that this thing didn't break, because I'm looking at it and I'm thinking it's broken and I'm going, oh my God, now I got to buy a new transducer. You know, this trip I'm not going to see much out there. Thankfully, Saturday afternoon's charter was a bottom fishing trip with two couples, two adult couples from Garden City. Awesome trip. I'll tell you a little bit about that. So now I put my boat on the ramp. It's sitting on the dock at the ramp, and it's a beautiful day. It's going to be 80 degrees out there. So now I'm thinking it's going to be busy at the ramp. I don't want to hog up too much space here too long. I got to go put my trailer over in the parking lot, and I park my trailer, and now I'm like, oh, well, I guess today's charter is on. I got to go over to High Hook and get bait for the charter. So I disconnect my trailer, drive over in the truck. I grab bait and ice at High Hook, and I am now good to go. I come back, park the truck. I didn't even hook it up to the trailer. I just parked the truck in front of the trailer, run down to the boat. I'm heading down the harbor now to go back by boat to my marina to get stuff that I need for the charter. Okay? It's 12:41. I pull up to pick these guys up 12:25 for a 1:30 charter. We head out without a hitch. Everything is fantastic. On my boat, these guys proceed to tell me that they're boaters and they have a 78 Mako out in the Hamptons. So now I know I got boaters on the boat. I said to them, before they told me that they were boaters, I said, boy, when we head back in, I got a story to tell you guys. And I was going to tell them the story of how this charter almost never happened and that I was going to have to call them and reschedule. And, you know, on the website, there is a provision there that says the captain can cancel a charter due to weather, gale force winds, thunderstorms, or a mechanical issue with the boat, which this was. And this year, I stretched a cable and I spun a hub. It could happen to anybody. It's all how you handle these situations. Okay? Now I'm prepared with extra cables. Hopefully I get a new engine with fly-by-wire. That'll be much nicer. But right now I have the OX66 that requires cables. Now keep in mind, here's another issue. You want to own a boat? When he put the cable in, my bilge wire definitely got affected with that cable going through and pulling it, yanking it through. You're pulling against all these wires through your harness. And my bilge switch wasn't working up on the console. But when we took the bilge switch to the back of the boat and powered it up directly back there, the bilge worked fine. So we knew it was just a wire going through. Well, guess what? We got a big storm coming. I had the switch on the back of the boat, and now today I'm going to head down to the boat after this podcast and run that wire and get the switch going so automatic and everything works. This is what happens when you own a boat. So it could happen to anybody. Throughout the season, we stretched the cable, which affected me rescheduling the charter for the next day. We had to cancel the charter. Luckily, they were still able to get out on one day that we had available that week. We were able to squeeze them in, which was absolutely awesome. And it happened to somebody that comes out with us 3-4 times a year. And it's Anton and Anton Jr., and he knows I rescheduled. So if he watches the podcast, you know, I'm grateful that they were able to reschedule and come back out because, you know, a lot of people can't always do that. I get it. We all have busy lives. So I had awesome people on the boat Saturday. And I'm going to tell you this. Not only they were awesome, we caught hundreds of fish. We had a great day. It was 78 degrees out there in October. And here's the kicker. No, they don't drink Diet Coke. But they were huge Islander fans. And not only were they Islander fans, so I told them I had Butch Goring in my studio. and that I recorded a Hockey This Week show with Butch Goring and Mike Carver. We did it at Butch's Country Club. We did it in my studio. We did it at the Marriott in Uniondale when the Islanders were still playing at the Mausoleum. I mean the Coliseum. Islander fans called it the Barn. Technically, it was a mausoleum, which is why the Islanders could never get a big player to come because nobody wanted to play there. And speaking of, I'm going to opening night tonight at UBS, opening home game. It's going to be an epic time. Super excited to be there. But these people that were on my boat, Richard proceeds to tell me a story that he owns a limousine company and he drives Butch Goring to the games. That he's Butch Goring's limo service, and he's a limo service for the Islanders. And they had some awesome stories of players that stayed at the house. I mean, just the stories I heard were truly stories I needed to hear after the day that I was having and the stress that I went through. And again, it's all how you handle it. It really is. I think the way me and Chris handled Friday leaving and putting the boat on a mooring, and I'll put the picture up here. This is the first time my boat is sitting on a mooring. And I took a picture of it like, bye, I'll see you soon. We'll get you fixed. Don't worry. And within 12 hours, literally within 24 hours, the boat was back and, good to go, which was exciting. That's not always the case for people. I know other charter captains that have taken their boat. I saw it on the hard for months that they had to borrow another charter boat from somebody else. And here's something else I'm grateful for. And I can't say it's thanks to Bay Rats and Buoys, but I'm sure this has a part of it. But there were people that reached out to me that knew what had happened because the story got around that I broke down. They said, hey, listen, if you need to use my boat, feel free. And I'm super grateful for the people that said that to me. That's something I really didn't, I truly didn't expect to hear that. I really didn't. And obviously I turned it down and said, thank you. I really appreciate that. I also don't like the liability. When I'm a hired captain to come drive, Eric's 38 Outrage, yes, I love being paid to go drive other people's boats. They're going to be on the boat. I don't like using somebody else's boat when they're not going to be on the boat. I just don't like that liability because, guys, anything could happen. That could have been a 4x4 railroad tide that I hit, which we call a tide walker because they're 2-3 feet down in the tide. You don't see them, yet you hit them, and they affect you. And you may never know that you hit it, you felt it. You go back, you look for it, and you may never see it because you hit it with such force that you knocked it down to the bottom and the thing's stuck in the motor, or now it's down on the bottom. So you might not have proof that you even hit a piece of wood. You may think you hit a rock. You go back, you look. So there are so many things that happen to us as boaters out there that I'm happy to have a story to share with you guys that I'm no different. Things are going to happen to me out on the water, especially somebody that's out on the water as much as I am. And guys, when I say I try to get out there every day, I truly try to get out there every day. And recently, people had asked other captains in the area, does he really fish every day? And they said, yeah, he's down at the dock. The guy gets on his boat, he goes. And I don't go depending on the weather. I'll fish the harbors. I'll fish bays. I'll fish back areas. I was going to go take the boat out. I was on my boat yesterday doing this episode. I was. Episode 52 to me, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go anchor up in a nice, quiet, private little area. I have such awesome back bays in my area that I was going to go nestle in and make it look really cool and scenic for October and do something along those lines. And the wind kicked up. I packed everything up. I go to leave the dock. The wind shuts off like somebody hit a switch. And guys were going out yesterday. They're going out. They see what the wind direction is, and they're heading out. And we're laughing on the dock because they weren't people that left my marina. Guys that came back to my marina had already said, but we knew as captains in the area, when the wind is out of a certain direction, and we always say east is least, west is best, what it is getting around the points, okay? Whether you're going around Diamond Point, whether you're going around the Coast Guard, we know what it's going to be like the minute you leave the bay. The bay, and when you get to the lighthouse and there's chop at the lighthouse, you're going to get your ass kicked in the sound. But it's very deceiving. A lot of times you get to the lighthouse, you look out in the bay, and you're like, oh, it's perfect. I'm going to shoot across to Connecticut today. And then you get out 3/4 of the way out of the bay, and you start to get your 2-foot swells. And then you get out into the sound, and you're seeing the 3s and 4s. And yesterday, they were easy 3s. So, I mean, there are guys that, 3s, they're going to go blackfishing. I know guys that were shooting across yesterday to Connecticut to prospect for today. Today's opening day of Tautog season. No better time to raffle off a Star Rods Stellar Lite, medium fast, 6-foot, 6-inch rod with a Stradic 3000 20-pound braid. And High Hook even put a blackfish jig on there already. You can see it. I'm showing you here in the video. That is the raffle for episode 52. I told you we were going to do it. In next week's, if we get so many people that enter the raffle, I will do a second raffle next week and give something else away. And we'll do this rolling into the close of the season. And we'll give away, listen, we're giving away a $350 combo. It's not like it's the end of the world. It's not like we're spending millions of dollars. But we do want to give you guys nice stuff. And just like the merchandise that we're ordering, it's, we don't, everything, even the tournament shirt. It's one of my favorite shirts to wear. And anybody that has it, you probably want one in long sleeve because that is the most, you can wear that shirt all day, not sweating it. It's epic. I love it. And I made it for that reason. So that was my story. I broke down. It could happen to anybody. Enter the raffle. Make sure you put in the comments, congrats, because you're congratulating us for our 1 year, 52 weeks of not missing an episode. Now, we had more episodes than 52 because I didn't create an episode for each boat show series, okay? I made the boat show series a boat show series so that it wouldn't affect the count because we were there for 5 days and we podcasted for 4 of them. Basically, our first day there, we wanted to get settled in, go meet people, tell everybody what we're doing because they have no idea. Nobody knows who Bay Rats and Buoys is. They don't even know what the hell, they're like a podcast. What are you doing here? What is it about? That's why on the back of the shirt that I have on right now, it actually says Boating and Fishing Podcast so that when people saw the logo, I wanted them to associate Bay Rats and Buoys logo to it's a boating and fishing podcast. That's why we're there. And we're excited to be there this year because we've grown into a bigger location. We got a bigger booth. And we're already reaching out to the manufacturers and the people scheduling and setting up what days the people that they want to speak on the podcast that are going to be there. Because remember, not everybody goes to the boat show for all 5 days. They have staff that handles Wednesday, staff that handles Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Not everybody's there. Like Keith from Yamaha was there all 5 days as a master mechanic. He's the one that fixed my major issue on my engine and all it was a ground wire. But other mechanics that looked at it, 2 other mechanics, I must have put about $4,000 into my boat, a good $3,500 into my boat, fixing things that didn't need to be fixed. And how many of you out there have done that on any of your vehicles, boats, whatever it is? It happens, right? So we try to fix things. I was more excited that they had these newer parts for my older engine. So I was happy to replace things that I probably normally wouldn't have replaced, like the oil reserve. All right, it's a 2-smoke. It's a 2-stroke engine. So replacing the oil reserve and getting a brand new clean one, I was like, hell yeah. The fact that they have one, let's get it. Japan had a brand new computer for my engine. All right? I bought one used on eBay in case it was the wiring coming out of the computer. I did everything to, make it as great as it could be. I want everything to work properly. And in hindsight, you really have to bring it to a master mechanic, somebody that really knows. And I did, and it was done in an hour and a half. Within an hour, it was fixed. And what I paid to have it fixed, I would take you guys out and probably spend more on dinner going out with you guys. I'm not even joking. And I'm very grateful for my connections and the people that I work with in this industry, like Keith from Yamaha, who I already had an existing relationship with from Freedom Boat Club, because I worked in the marina there at Britannia for 5 years. I think it was like 4 years. And then I went from working at Freedom Boat Club to working at Cito. And ultimately, creating Sand City Fishing Charter. I created Sand City Fishing Charter back in 2018. Okay, so that goes back 7 years already that I already purchased the URL and knew that I was doing that. It was just a matter of, putting it all together and diving in and making the commitment. And, I did it as a side hustle to see if I was actually going to like taking people out and chartering people. And, whether we were even going to be good at it, That wasn't an easy feat by any stretch. That was a big decision. And now I'm making bigger decisions, spending a lot more money, and growing the company and growing. And, that means bigger boats, bigger things happening. There is a much bigger studio that you're going to see in about a month. In here, I record all my radio shows. I'm on a small set in here now, but I record all my radio shows weekly. And I also record other people's podcasts, the studio that I'm about to show you. And as soon as I can release the footage, I will. You guys will be blown away. You'll be like, no way. I mean, this is epic. It's huge. And the construction of my office has already started in there. And me, Dean, and James are going to move into that, and very excited about that. Something big is happening to close out 2025. It's going to be epic to close it out. It's going to all be before the end of the year, so I'll be able to show it to you soon. I can't wait to show you the inside of J&M Seafood's new shop in East Tautog. You guys are going to have to head out there. I told them I'm coming out and I'm podcasting from the facility and doing it there. Thanks to the folks at Empire Chevrolet in Huntington. I love you guys. I truly do. I get in my truck every day, and I'm the happiest guy in the world. All right. And what made it harder last year for Bay Rats and Buoys to have guests, I got to say, one of the hardest parts of the podcast. Okay. We really didn't have much as far as equipment failure, other than the GoPros overheating and things like that. Small little issues that we ran into, and we've purchased bigger equipment. Right now I'm using a much bigger and better camera that I bought for the boat show last year. But, some of the issues that you run into, you got to iron them out and figure them out as you grow. Those are your growing pains. So the biggest issue that we had was on the boat in the sun, the heat on the cameras, making the cameras overheat, just like your phone overheats. And I tell you, how reliable is your phone going to be on your boat? How reliable is it going to be on the boat when this thing overheats that you can't call somebody for help? So now what's your next option? All right, maybe your buddy on the boat, maybe his phone was in his pocket, it didn't overheat, but that goes back to episode 7 when I talked about how, and somebody made a great comment on episode 7 saying that this episode should be taught in boating school when they take the boating course. And you're right, it should, because there's so much great intel in there of the cold water and how to handle situations on your boat, and safety tips, which is why... That's why it was in such an early episode, because I felt like during the winter months, we really need to educate people and give them tips and help them out and show them. But, looking back, what was some of the hardest things, about Bay Rats and Buoys was getting somebody on the show to be a guest. Last year, I had a big issue with my truck, and I had a 2015 Chevy Silverado that I lifted, leveled, train horned. I did all this amazing work to it, and I beat the balls out of this truck, driving it on the beach for 2 years, 2 seasons. Hence, episode 53, one of my favorite episodes, Shark Week 2025. That was one of my favorite episodes. I'm going to list a bunch of those here, as we go on. You know, I said episode 4 with Captain Jacob. Episode 7 was regarding the safety tips. But episode 53, being able to show you me on the beach, driving out to Smith's Point, which we just spoke about now, because I want to go dive Moriches Inlet, thanks to Jacob, making me a dive junkie. And speaking of, the reason I said dive junkie is Corey's new nickname is Tuna Junkie, who I just spoke to Captain Scott today, because with this storm coming, with Jerry coming in, all the boats in Shinnecock have to get taken out of the marina. They all got to leave. It gets gnarly. And half of the boats are still out from the last storm. So I spoke to Captain Scott, and he's like, yep, we got the boot. We hauled it out this morning. 54-foot Viking. And, you know, people don't realize that's what happens this time of the year when these storms come. It's hurricane season. This tropical storm, Jerry, could have went subtropical, could have turned hurricane on us, 100%. Thank God the winds are diminishing, and it went from 65 to now 50, I think it's 56 degrees. 56 miles an hour. It changed from, it was traveling at 18 miles an hour, now it's traveling at 15, and it's going to head a shorter path north and cut out east on us. So we're thankful that that's not coming up the northeast, coming up the whole East Coast. So we're very grateful that's not the case. But again, we're going to get high winds into Sunday. I think it's really going to be major gusts of like 35, which isn't too bad for the Huntington area, for that area. But still, we're going to have. I plan on flying the drone Sunday and Monday to show you guys some of the conditions out there. And yes, you could fly the Mavic Pro 2 in 40-mile-an-hour winds. It's going to tell you, holy shit, this is crazy, high winds. You're going to get all these alerts that come up on it, but that thing will still sit there and stay locked in pretty damn good. It's pretty impressive. Landing it will be, just make sure you have a big landing area. You don't want to try to do that from the boat, nor will I be on a boat Sunday and Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, probably the aftermath of this. So thanks to Empire Chevrolet, because I got the new truck, and I feel like the shackles have been broken off. The old truck gave me some serious issues. I really waited, and I did something pretty cool. I really did. I Ubered around. I used Uber. It didn't matter. I Ubered everywhere I had to go. It was kind of cool. I was able to do stuff in the back of the car and get shit done. I felt like I had a chauffeur. It was fun when I did it and why I did it. And the money I spent on Uber was going to work and back and forth, and if you got a good accountant, you're going to get some of that back. Hence Simrad. Next year, spot lock. Some vinyl. A much bigger boat. There's a lot on the horizon here. Bay Rats and Buoys is growing at a great level. It really is. It took its time, but now it's time. New sponsors, new partnerships, all kinds of great things happening. Now that 1 year is in the books, I'm revamping sponsorships with new companies and doing some really cool stuff. When we recommend products here on the show, guys, head out and buy it. That's God's honest truth. I mean, I hear about it the next day, if not the same day. Some guys will even write to me and say, hey, could you give me the model number on that? Now, here's what I recommend. You head over to High Hook when I recommend getting something and go buy it. Next week, on our first trolling episode that we do for the fall run here, and I don't like to troll. Trolling is really for charters, for people that don't know how to fish. When you have people that don't know how to fish, it can get very frustrating on a boat for a captain. Because how many of you know, coming into Tautog season right now, I give you the rod, you get on the side of the boat, you got the crab, you feel the nibble. How many times do you say to your buddy, swing and a miss? Swing and a miss. I can probably show you videos of swings and misses. It was happening on my boat this last charter on Monday. Monday I had a charter. 80 degrees out there. 80 degrees. Not only were they swinging and missing, but they were casting like, Lamar in Revenge of the Nerds when he throws the javelin. I mean, it was embarrassing. But when you have new people, you can't expect much. And there's 99% of the time no casting off my boat. I've had the most experienced fisherman here, Kenny. Everybody knows Kenny from Field and Stream. He worked at Dick's, bald-headed Kenny. I could put millions of pictures, of Kenny up here holding up bass. Kenny's famous here on Long Island. Everybody knows Kenny from Field and Stream and Dick's. He's an amazing angler. He could outfish half you guys on his John boat. And I'll show you pictures and videos of here millions of times. This guy's on my boat. He cast it off and broke my favorite rod, the tip on my RH rod. What did Kenny do? He replaced the rod. Because Kenny's a stand-up guy. Kenny's one of the best guys. I absolutely love Kenny. And he's a huge Islander fan. I'm more excited about going to tonight's Islander game. I really am. It's going to be an epic time. It's for my son's birthday. I'm taking my son and my daughter to the game. We're in Section 117. If you're going to be at tonight's game, you see this episode before that, you want to get out there and say hello. I got so many friends that are going to be at tonight's game. I got friends that work there. I've never been as pumped up as I am. I'm definitely more pumped up to do episode 52. But I'm super excited that episode 52 is getting done on the same day that I'm going to opening night at UBS for a home game for the New York Islanders. And John, listen, you did say something nice on Facebook. I got a lot of respect for you, buddy. Even though you're a Pepsi distributor, I want you to know, God's honest truth. I take my son, my wife and my daughter out. I call my son. I'm on the way home from work. I'm like, yo, what do you want to eat? And he's like, yo, how about the bourbon burger over at Applebee's? And I'm like, done. He was so cute years ago. We're on Ocean Drive in Miami. John, I'm going to get to it. And we're on Ocean Drive in Miami. And he says for the first time, he's like, Dad, he's like, we're sitting at this awesome Spanish restaurant out on Ocean Drive, and the name might hit me. And he says, I don't want to get anything off the kids' menu. He's like, I want to eat real food. I want to get a real meal. And to me, that was like the stamp of approval. Like, hell yeah, welcome to manhood. You asked to get off the kids' menu? Guess what? You're off. And he ordered this chorizo cheeseburger it was the best burger I ever had. And he ate the whole thing. And I was super proud of him. So when he said he wanted to go to Applebee's and get the bourbon burger, it's an epic burger. It's super juicy. It's delicious. And I didn't get it. I got something else. I got some of this pasta that comes with grilled chicken and actually chorizo in there. I'm a big fan of chorizo. It's in my ziti. It's in a few of the things that we make. But then the chef at Ohika Castle says to me, I wouldn't eat chorizo as much as you eat it. I would back off some of the chorizo. I told my wife, I'm like, uh-oh. So if the Diet Coke don't kill me, maybe chorizo will. But John, so we're at Applebee's. He orders the burger. I order a Diet Coke. Guess what the waitress says to me? Is Diet Pepsi okay? So I said to her, yeah, Diet Pepsi is just okay. Just kidding, John. I said, yeah, I'm okay with a Diet Pepsi. All right? That happens to me in restaurants. It comes on a tap. They don't have Diet Coke. They have Diet Pepsi. Big deal. I just want a diet soda. I grew up in a household with a mother that had diabetes. Rest in peace, Mom. Fancy Nancy. We love you. We miss you. But she was a diabetic. So there was diet soda in my house. That's why I drink Diet Coke. That's the God's honest truth. And there's a Yeti with a whole bunch of them right there sitting on ice. And I got a cold one right here. And some of you are going to be able to send in a video. I want you to send me a video telling me why you're a fan of the show, what was your favorite episode, something you love about Bay Rats and Buoys, something you hate about Bay Rats and Buoys. I love haters just as much as I love my fans. I really do. They motivate me. They always have. Whether I was playing hockey and you hated the fact that I was going to make your goalie look stupid and you want to start a fight with me, I loved every second of it. And everybody in my high school knows I'm pretty famous for a fight in my high school. There's a lot of witnesses. I mean, a lot. The whole school came out to watch. There's a lot of witnesses. Anyway, I'll never turn down a challenge. But I love my haters as much as I love my fans. I'm just going to put that out there. But to all my fans, and to all the fans of Bay Rats and Buoys, I want you to send us a video. I know Captain Jacob's doing it. I know Captain of the Kitchen sent one in. Send us a short little clip. You can do it in vertical. Just telling us what you like about the show. I will put that into one of the episodes. Now, in this episode, I'm going to be able to put in Captain Jacob and Captain of the Kitchen. I know Matt, J&M Seafood, he's going to do one with his staff over there at the new place in East Setauket. Make sure you check that out. I'm going to be there. I'll take you with me. If I can go live from East Setauket, I will. Due to all the new upgrades and all the new electronics here for Bay Rats and Buoys, we are going to be doing live streaming on Facebook, our YouTube channel, TikTok. We're going to do all the platforms all at once. So there's going to be a time, like right now, I could have my phone. I could go live on TikTok, and I should have my phone filming this episode, and I could have been live on TikTok. 100% I should have done that. But there's a lot. There's so much that goes into the production. There really is. You guys got to understand there's a lot of work that goes into producing Bay Rats and Buoys. There really is. Granted, it's raw and unscripted. I have so many people to thank. I really do. But truly, we have to thank all the fans, because if it wasn't for you, this thing's not even possible. It goes nowhere. It ends. But we had a tournament this year. Me and Corey said we're going to enter every tournament. We started the season gung-ho. We're in every tournament. We're going to place. We're going out to the Peconic because I know that's where they get the biggest bluefish. We had game plans. We had everything set. We're going. And there's not that many. Sure as hell, the Manhattan Cup. I stretched my cable. Guys, this is what owning a boat is. And when I told the captain that was running the Manhattan Cup, he said, dude, my boat is still out. I'm still fixing it. I don't even know if I'm going to be in it. And that's just the reality of it, you know? Unless you're Michael Jordan and you have an 85-foot or an 80-foot Bayless and you have your Viking sitting right there. When the Bayless has a problem, you jump on the Viking. I want to have that problem. And Jordan, I'm coming for you. I am coming for you. But yeah. We prepared for an epic year, and we had one. And we're going to close it out really strong. Can you believe it's only 100 days till the boat show? I'm 102 days away, I believe, till the New York Boat Show on January 21st. That is crazy. But we're preparing for that now because we are going to make that so big this year that we're inviting you all. Come to the show. Come see us. I'll walk around and look at boats with you. I'll take you over to some of the manufacturers and the owners that mold them and make them. And we could talk about anything and everything. There's so many cool things that go on at the boat show that we learned this year that we really can't wait for that show. And we really, really send a big thank you out to the National Marine Manufacturers Association. We are growing with other boat shows because of them, that it doesn't just end with the New York Javits Boat Show. So there is so many things that happen for Bay Rats and Buoys this year. Favorite episodes. You know, I mentioned episode number 1. I watched it. I sat in my living room, and I'm like, you know what? I got to catch up on some of my episodes. I'm doing episode 52. Let me compare how episode 1 was to episode 51. And let me look at the two. And let me see. And I was blown away with the 21-minute episode 1. I sat down for 20 minutes. I was shitting my pants that I'm going to sit down here without a teleprompter, without a script, without anything, and talk to you guys. I really was. I was like, I'm going to be a babbling idiot. I'm going to screw up every sentence. And what I'm doing right now, I did it on purpose because I realized I don't have to rush. I could sit here and take a drink. I could take my laptop out. I could make a phone call. I could do things while I'm on the podcast with you. And that's why now the new technology that I brought into this, all the new equipment that we just bought, I mean, it is going to take us to the next level. That maybe next week I can announce something that we can now have guests on the show where they don't physically have to come on and sit next to me. We can split the screen and we could do this like a normal podcast that streams every week and has a huge audience and goes around the world and is in 5 different continents and hundreds of cities. Brooklyn being the #1 Western sound. You guys rock. You guys absolutely rock. The Western sound. You guys are catching striped bass right now. And I'm not jealous because we're catching bass in our area too. Guys don't know it yet. We got breaking news that the bass are in the bay. Let's see what this storm does. All right. But they're a big bass in our bay right now. You don't even have to go in the sound. They're in the bay. And it's stuff like that you're going to want to tune into every week. I have not been doing my fishing reports for the Long Island fishermen. I've been so busy. I really have. My schedule has been insane, and I love it. I love being busy. But I want to take this production of Bay Rats and Buoys to the next level. And I can only do that because of you guys. I really can. And I thank the fans. And I know the fans want to help out. I get the messages. I do. If you guys want to, if the link will be in the podcast this week in the YouTube channel. Go to Venmo. You could donate and send money, and we'll thank you, and we'll do all kinds of nice stuff. We're going to give away some merchandise to the people that do. But people have been asking me. They're like, yo, we want to support the show. And the show is going to grow exponentially in the next 52 weeks. Next week starts year number 2. This is the close of year number 1. And next week is episode 53. We're going to start it off by giving away a $350 raffle. I'm also going to have a surprise in next week's episode to give something away for the next week. I already have it planned. Very excited about it. And remember, the more people that comment and interact with us here on Bay Rats and Buoys, I'm going to invite you out on the boat. You know, Manny's been out. Gene's been out. Chris comes out. We did invite Frank, and Frank's got big news too. Frank hit the lotto, and he really didn't hit the lotto. At least he didn't say to me that he hit the lotto, and he did the work himself. So he wet sanded this new boat that he got. That was already an awesome looking boat, but he wanted it to look. We always say it looks tits. He made it look amazing. And I know our female listeners are awesome. He made his boat look absolutely incredible. Then he sends me a picture of all the additives and the things he's putting on. And I'm like, oh, my God. Frank, you are awesome. You are going to be a fishing machine. He's going out with the captain to show him how to use area. I mean, he is taking it to the next level. He's upgraded the size of the boat, which is what everybody wants to do. We're going to need a bigger boat. One of the greatest lines in movie history as far as Jaws, fishing. I recommended Jaws at 50 this year to everybody. I hope some of you got to see it. If you got to see it and you loved it, throw a comment in there. Thanks for recommending Jaws at 50 because just an awesome, awesome presentation of a movie we already love to hate, and we loved. We loved Jaws. We did. But, man, as a kid, I felt like I could run across the water. Just like when Children of the Corn came out, and I got to walk home into a cul-de-sac and pass a goddamn cornfield because, one of the pieces of property over there was a farm. And, oh, my God, I can't tell you that when I got to the cul-de-sac walking home from a friend's house and I saw the corn, I don't think my feet touched it. I was in my front door faster than you could believe it. And, having red hair as a kid, they called me Malachi. Listen, I've heard it all. Nothing bothers me. I got thick skin. We could joke around about anything. We really can. All right, one tidbit of information in episode 53 that you do not know about Captain Gaige is that back in the day, Captain Gaige was a professional dancer. And yes, I was a backup dancer. I was a dancer for hundreds, thousands of events. I mean, I did it for 2.5 decades. I was in the entertainment industry, which is why you could see that when people get on the boat, the music is just as important to me. So I said to the Garden City folks, the Island fans, Richard and his crew. I mean, these wives were salty. They were putting the bait on. One was standing right next to women were on the side with the bait tray, and these people were putting their own bait on the hooks. And I'm without Corey, mind you. He's out of the country, and I'm running these charters by myself. I did ask Andrew. The champ is here. I did ask Andrew, who got on Bonito with his dad, and got on him pretty good, actually, which was awesome. I got some pictures here to show you. But Corey's out of the country, and I'm running these charters by myself. I asked Andrew if he wanted to charter. He said he could on the weekends. The one weekend I asked him to work on Saturday, he's got Justin, another famous fisherman. I got videos of Justin. I got more GoPro footage of Justin. Justin is just as hardcore as Andrew. Maybe Andrew got the hardcoreness from Justin. I don't know, but these two are younger generation, best buddies, both got boats. They both get out there, and they fish. They run. There's times I'm on the Connecticut side, and here's Justin on a little Boston whaler 20 feet away from me, knee deep in, bluefish. He's like, I just caught my personal best bluefish. And here I am videotaping him. And I got that video to show you. And I've shown it to you in episodes. So you know who Justin is, thanks to Bay Rats and Buoys. And you know who Andrew is. This is the younger generation. These are the guys that are coming up. These are the guys that are going to be running. You are going to be running and gunning against next year in Bay Rats and Buoys' second annual Striped Bass Invitational. How good does that sound? Now, I got to make a new logo because I got to get the year out of it, okay? I'm going to take the year out of it so that the Bay Rats and Buoys Striped Bass annual Striped Bass Invitational will have a shirt just for the tournament. Then we're going to have our actual tournament shirts that if you were in that year, you're going to get it just like we all get the Wick t-shirt and whatnot. And the, on the water, they have a great striper cup. Long Island Fisherman Magazine, they have tournaments as well. They have throughout the year. You could win a Steiger, you could win a boat. And me and Corey at the boat show said, we're going to do that one. We can't show up to those way stations and show a fish. Our schedule wouldn't even allow it. I mean, there's times we get back to the boat, we have barely enough time to clean it to get it back out for the next charter sometimes. So we had to change up our strategy this year as far as entering all the tournaments. So what do? We created one. Was it a success? 100%. Did everybody get hit with a squall heading out into it? Hell yeah. Some left. Some never fished. 20 boats enter. How many will return? That should be next year's motto. 20 boats enter. How many will return? And next year we're going to have a big event. We're going to have a big awards dinner. We're going to have it. Once I have the date set, I'm going to go reserve all that stuff, and it's done. It's happening. The tournament grew into epic proportions. We love it. It's going to be something big next year. I guarantee it. You're going to want to get involved, and that's why I said Andrew and Mike and Eric, the three champs. The champ is here. They're coming for you. You are going to have a target on your back. So that's exciting. And a lot of times today you'll see me, if I'm not looking at the lens, I have a monitor up on top of the camera so I can kind of see what's going on over here in case there's a fire behind me. Speaking of the boat, Jeff, the boat caught on fire in Port Jeff. I just made an epic video of that. But unfortunately, due to being a commercial tow captain, I can't show you guys everything on Bay Rats and Buoys. So, back to Bay Rats and Buoys and the fans. You guys made this all possible. I love you. I can't thank you enough. There are so many people I have to thank. There are so many new fans. There are so many new fans that are popping up and commenting weekly now that it's hard to keep up with. And I try to. I really do. I try to respond to people. So I at least hit the hearts and the likes and show you that I saw your comment. If you comment on YouTube, I try to always respond to it. I will do much better this year. So going into next week, episode 53, year 2, I promise you I will do nothing but improve behind the mic here and in the production of Bay Rats and Buoys. We will do some live streaming. I am hopefully going to live stream the giving away the raffle. So make sure you go and write in any of your social media feeds, congrats with the hashtag BayRats Year 1. That is going to be the hashtag BayRats Year 1. We're closing out Year 1 with this episode. So make sure you comment. And everywhere you do it on each social media platform, I will consider that as an entry into the raffle. So you can put multiple tickets into the raffle. It's going to be cool how it's drawn. You'll see there's no way I could pick anybody or favor it to anybody. It won't be, it's not a rigged raffle. That is for sure. I want one fan to get the Star Rods Stellar Lite medium fast 6-foot 6-inch rod with a Stradic 3000 with 20-pound braid ready for Tautog season. And today's opening day. You can only get out today. If you got out today, God bless you. Hopefully you're holding up some pictures of some keeper Tautog. This weekend, it looks like we got a 4-day window that we're going to have some high winds in our area. It's probably not going to lay down until Thursday. That I think is the best day for us to get back out there. So maybe by next weekend, we'll all be on the Tautog and we'll get to our favorite spots. I know I'm going to be out there. But shoot me a video of what you like about the show. So far, what did I list as far as my favorite episodes? Episode 1, obviously, because it was the start of the culmination of what we grew into. Episode 4 with Captain Jacob from Davy Jones Shellfish Company. I mean, he is just one salty kid, and he's awesome. And I call him a kid. He's no youngster anymore. He's got an amazing business going out in the Peconic. Episode 7, because of the tips that we recommended, and some of the comments recommended that episode be taught in boating school, in boating class, that everybody take the boating class. And speaking with Captain Mike at the boat show for the nautical school, that was absolutely an epic. This is the best time of the year, by the way. This is the time of the year when everybody goes to get their captain's license. They wait for the seasons to end, and as we get into these colder months, and they're not going to be on their boat December, January, February, March, those 4 months are the months that most of us are off the water. And those are the best months to get into captain's school and get your captain's license, get your towing endorsement, get your sailing endorsement, I know a lot of people, it's funny. I have friends that went and got captain's licenses and did absolutely nothing with them. And I thought about it when I was getting it. There's a big commitment here. You can get it and do nothing with it in 5 years, don't renew it, and blah, blah, blah. Who cares? I had a captain's license. I held it up. I showed it to you. Big deal. I'm a captain. But that doesn't really make you a captain. Okay, having the paperwork doesn't really make you a captain. What makes you a captain is getting out there and doing captain stuff, okay? Like, I'm going to tell you, in my area, there are some really cool sailors, people that have sailboats. I think there's a tournament going on today from the Huntington Yacht Club, because I'm about to mention sailors, and some of them are over at the Huntington Yacht Club. My good friend Eric is over there. I saw him yesterday. Eric, by the way, you threw a wake at my dock while I was recording. And turns out, not because of that. I said, I'm going into the studio. I'm going to do this episode in the studio. Came here yesterday to do it. Was too busy recording the other podcast. By the time I got it out, technical issues and other things that happened and things that made it busy. I was like, I'm going to come back Saturday morning and do it. But Eric, you threw a wake yesterday coming into the harbor. This time of the year, a lot of people do that. They don't realize, hey, I'm passing another marina, and it's the end of the season. Nobody's out here. It's quiet, and they go 8 knots, 8 miles an hour in the marina. Keith would be yelling at everybody, slow down, Keith. That's why I miss you in the marina. Him and James on the fuel dock, they yelled at everybody. So I mentioned the sailors over at Huntington Yacht Club. That's why I talked to you about Eric. Eric's one of my favorite captains in the area, and I love him and his boat, and Karen, his wife. By the way, Karen, you will be the next hurricane or the next storm. After Jerry, Karen is the next name going to be used for the storm. But you got people like Tony and Janine, who are big contributors on Facebook, and they are going to ride out the end of the season like no other sailors. These guys, these ladies, these awesome. Now, to me, there's nothing better than seeing women captain boats, women on motorcycles, women doing these things. To me, that I think it's the best. I really do. And somebody I went out and helped in the harbor was Mia, and man, this was one of the tightest spots I ever had to take a sailboat and put it into. It was like, holy cow, this is actually a challenge, which I'm always up for, and I love it. And man, when I tell you I threaded the needle, that's exactly the phrase that Captain Jacob used when I met him training as a commercial tow captain. Because when I pulled off a few of the maneuvers training, he was like, yo, I was like, how did I do? Like, how was that? He was like, bro, you threaded the needle. Like, that was incredible. Sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield. Even yesterday, I had to pull somebody out of their marina. Windy conditions, and all by myself. They had bad knees. They couldn't get on the boat to help me. I was like, your heart's going through your chest. You're taking this guy's expensive boat. You got the liability down a fairway that's meant for one boat. Now I'm too wide. Oh, my God. Who are you kidding? It's not easy, nor is it fun. It's stressful. Hence, when you get your captain's license and your towing endorsement, you got to step up. There's a lot to learn. You could get hurt doing this. You could die. Unfortunately, I can't put up videos like Captain Retriever that everybody knows and sees online. Speaking of some of our favorite videos, our wavy boats and the inlets and haul over and all the different inlets and the Miami boat ramp, that he put up a funny thumbnail for his YouTube saying he got kicked out of the boat show. And I got to watch and see why he got kicked out of the boat show. But you know what I'm talking about with the Miami boat ramps, with all the ramp fails and all the videos. You want some entertainment, go down to the ramp. You want to come down and watch me put on a clinic? I put on a clinic at a ramp. I got yelled at the ramp by some guy, and I'm just like, listen to this guy. Are you kidding me? Holy cow. So I have a good time. I take it all in stride. I love it. I love what I do. I love making the podcast. I love being a captain. I love fishing. I love boating. I love expanding within the maritime industry. I really do. I'm always looking to grow and become bigger and better at what I do. I told you I'm like a sponge. I like to learn. So with learning, I was also a hockey instructor. So I'm really good at teaching. I love teaching. I have patience for all the idiots, all the morons, all the boating Karens. I can teach you. There's no doubt about it. I have no problem teaching from scratch. I trained all the Freedom Boat Club members. I even made fun of them in one of my episodes, saying taking the fenders. I can't even say what I was about to say because I was going to call them retards. But then I'm offending people that have special needs. I really am. And you guys know I'm one of the biggest wise asses, especially if you watch the whole show and you see the episodes. There's some things I say that, nobody else is going to say. 100%. So, yeah. Freedom Boat Club drives around with their fenders out, and everybody knows they're the Freedom Boat Club. You can tell. So, Freedom Boat Club, take in the fenders. When you leave the dock, fenders come in. They don't stay out for the whole trip, bouncing around in the water. Just some tips and advice we throw out there. But I used to train them. So I used to go to all the different locations and train you in Babylon, Freeport, Port Jeff, Port Washington. And there was one more, Northport. That's, so it was a lot of fun. But I've learned in the 53 weeks that there's no pressure on me on this microphone. I'm not stressed out of where I got to go and from this category to that category and my open, where I'm going to go with this thing, how I'm going to close it out. I'll probably close it out with a toast. We'll do a captain's toast to all of you. I'm going to close it out with a Diet Coke and a captain's toast. So you make this stuff as you go along. You got to be spontaneous. And that's where I have fun because I am such a spontaneous person. I love planning all-day fishing trips and reacting to what's going on out there. You could go out there, set, and lines tied up to do one thing, and you get out there and Mother Nature throws the complete opposite at you, and you're like, wow, I had no idea this was going to happen today, like the rain blitz of 2025. That is by far my favorite day on the water, and I wish I had the name to go back and thank the boat. I could put them here in the video. They were out of Mount Sinai. So when I broke down on Friday, and if you want, you can go back to if you're just tuning in now and you catch late, yeah, you didn't listen to the whole thing. Back in the first few minutes of this, I tell you a story of how I broke down on Friday. There were captains that I know passing me that had I been in real trouble, I would have yelled over and been like, yo, I got to hook up a line. I need to be pulled over to here. I got to do this. I dropped my anchor. You know, it's all how you handle the situation. If you can use your phone, fantastic. If you can't, you got to get on the VHF radio. I had to radio to the launch. I didn't have the phone number to call the launch, so I got on the launch channel. So I'm going to put up. It's going to take me, I got to compile it. I have it in a folder. I have every channel on the VHF radio in our area, in the Long Island Sound, that you would need to know to reach out to contact certain things that you might be looking for, whether it's Huntington Yacht Club or Willis Marine or Coney's or Windcoat Fuel Dock. And you hear me mention them all the time. I pulled up to them 2 weeks ago and they were like, yo, we're out of ice. Now, why do I need ice? What is that, some kind of fucking joke? Why do I need ice? What do I look like? The Iceman? Holy shit. There's a story to tell you about the Iceman. Why do I need ice? I need ice for my Diet Coke. So, back in the day, I managed a few nightclubs. One of them being a couple that you might know, Zachary's and Chelsea Street. And I worked for Jay Grossman, Greg Buttle, Rennie Leone. And HBO was coming into Zachary's and renting it out to film a documentary. And the documentary is of the Iceman. I think his name is Richard Kuklinski, if I'm saying it right. But you look that up on HBO. I'm in it. I'm in the documentary. I was actually the DJ in the DJ booth at Zachary's playing the music and doing the lighting for the whole documentary. The whole thing was filmed on the dance floor because this guy went around and stuck cyanide needles into people and murdered people via cyanide and an injection and did it on the dance floor. And he was called the Iceman. And he speaks in the documentary. I mean, this guy is ice cold. So when I pulled up to the fuel dock and they were like, yo, we don't have any ice. And I was like, why? You guys can't figure out the recipe? It's pretty simple. I make my own ice. I really do. I got my own ice that I made in there. You know, you would think. All right, so here's something I need for 2025 for the holiday season. I need one of those old Coca-Cola vending machines. But it's got to be the one that you got at like the bowling alley. It was the old school ones that had the metal rows. Those metal rows kept the cans so cold. That's what I need. Or do I look at one of these wine refrigerators that maybe you can control the temperature and keep it exactly? Because I honestly have to say, I'll drink it at any temperature probably if I'm dying, okay? At any. It could even probably be a day old sitting on the counter. I'm not lying. I'm being serious. And that's a rarity for me because, man, my hands got to be clean if I'm eating something. I'm just like, oh. So I need my Diet Cokes ice cold. And, I mean, you can still see the condensation on here. I can wipe it off, you know. So it's got to be on ice. That Yeti has to be, There's a bag of ice in there dumped, you know. So we got to say, the next episode I do on the boat outdoors, I'll try to wear my some Diet Coke apparel. All right? And it's nothing against John. It really isn't. He's a Pepsi distributor. And I told you, he said something nice on Facebook, where he said, even though we have our differences, that he's a Ranger fan and he delivers Pepsi, and I'm an Islander fan and I drink Diet Coke, he loves Bay Rats and Buoys enough that he's willing to put those two things aside. And I'm going to tell you, I left a fishing Facebook group because sometimes the Ranger fans are just Ranger fans. I'm just going to leave it at that. You know, I record sports talk radio, and for the last 18 years, maybe if I count it up, it could be 19, it could be 20. I'm saying 18 because it's just probably accurate, but it could be more. And even the Ranger fans that are on the radio, that are huge Ranger fans, know that their team sucks. They do. Just like us Islander fans. When's the last time we won? We know we suck. New York sports, we suck. We do. And there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing. But we still root in our teams, and I'm still a huge Islander fan. Always will be. And I even have a great story to tell you about Clark Gillies on the golf course. But we're going to stick to Bay Rats and Buoys on this episode. You guys know I love Diet Coke. I need some sort of Diet Coke vending machine. I want the metal one where the cans come out really, really cold. It has to hold cans. I do not want bottles. I do not want twist-offs. You notice it's always in a can. Manny was the only one that brought me a case of Diet Coke onto the boat. So I can't say he's the only one because other people gave me gifts and they knew that the gift should be Diet Coke. I had people drop off cases of beer, and I just gave that away. So I don't drink beer. I'm not a beer drinker. If we all go out and have an event and go somewhere, you come to the boat show, would I have a drink with you? Yeah, it's going to be a mixed drink, though. You know, it's going to be a cocktail. I am going to be in the city all 5 days for the boat show, and I will be going out afterwards. I'm going to attend the big get-together that they have opening night. I believe it's Wednesday night that they have a get-together. I'll be attending all that stuff. I'd also like to host something for Bay Rats and Buoys. So hopefully episode 53 was the longest one we've done so far. You guys deserved it. You earned it. You made it all possible, and none of this would be possible without you. And I was going to have a list. I should have like a closing. Put everybody's name on the screen and just let it scroll at the end of the movie where, you know, you see the cast and scroll out all the people I would like to thank and say thank you to. But you guys know who you are because you're a big part of my heart. You're right here. You mean a lot to me. I can't thank you enough for all you've done for Bay Rats and Buoys. I really can't. You know, you could bring tears to my eyes. That's how serious this could be. It's how serious it is for me. I love you guys throughout the whole season. We've had a great year. We had a great fishing year here on the Northeast, up in the Huntington area. I got to say, this was one of the best bass seasons we've had. Let's see how it ends. They're here. They're in the bay. I told you so. Get out there and chunk for them. Sit, anchor your boat, throw some chunks out, and watch those reels spin off because it's happening. It should only be a matter of time where it really blows up in the areas that we fish and the cans that we love to fish at, hence Buoys. That's why I named this show Bay Rats and Buoys, because we're always talking about how many people fish 11B, all right? People come from all over to fish 11B. They come from Westchester. They come from Connecticut. They come from out east. They come to fish 11B, right? They fish the triangle. It's no strange. This is no new. I'm not giving away any spots. People fish the triangle. They fish the 15 can. They fish in Oyster Bay. They fish in Green's Ledge. They fish the Norwalk Islands. They fish Penfield Reef. They fish the Middle Grounds. They fish out of Port Jeff. You know, they're fishing everywhere. So that's what made this show so popular. Is those buoys, those cans that we all love to fish. I can't believe the people in the Western Sound that really took to this show. I want to say probably more than the people in Huntington, and I can't say that because I walk around town, and I can't begin to tell you wherever I am, I hear a comment. I don't even wear anything that says Bay Rats and Buoys on it. I don't have it on my truck. I'm not a walking billboard, and yet I still get it everywhere I go. And the popularity of the show is because of you guys. It has nothing to do with me. I am going to do a lot more promoting this show. Now that we've survived the first year, we know what it's capable of. Get excited for year 2 and episode 53. We're going to go live and do the raffle. The anniversary raffle will be drawn next week, okay? All you got to do is write in the comments, congrats, hashtag Bayrats Year 1. If you enter it on all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you see these videos and wherever your account is following mine, okay, that's going to count as an entry for you to win the Star Rods Stellar Lite. It's a medium fast 6'6" rod with a Stradic 3000. You see, I don't even care if I mess up because it's unscripted. I mean, how the hell am I remembering all this stuff, you know? And as far as YouTube is concerned for the year, we had over 858,000 views. 825,000 views was the exact number. 825,000 views for the year on YouTube. We're really going to grow that account. That account is going to blow up moving into year 2. I promise you. I didn't do enough work there this year. Shame on me. On Facebook, we get 58,000 views a month. And Facebook is asking me to put out more content weekly, hence the public service announcement that I put out there this week for you guys, for your awareness of Tropical Storm Jerry that's heading our way. Get to your boats today and batten down the hatches. Jacob is in Peconic Bay, batten down the hatches. I have a message from Jacob that I will play for all you guys. I'm going to put it up on the screen right here, right now. Take a listen.
This is Jacob Firebush with Davy Jones Shellfish Company. I'm out here on the farm in the middle of Peconic Bay. I just wanted to reach out to you, Gaige, to wish you a happy 1-year anniversary of Bay Rats and Buoys. I'm real excited to see what happens with the show. I've listened to every episode since the start, and you're doing great work, man. Keep it up. Cheers.
And it really doesn't matter how long I pause for and how long he made the video, because now that I sat still for a second, I could actually pause the video, let him play, and then come right back into now like me talking to you. So those are the editing effects that you could do. But truth behind Bay Rats and Buoys, unedited, unscripted, raw, coming to you live. Next week, I am going to be streaming live. I am going to start practicing, and I'm totally going to fuck up. I know I am. I know something's going to go wrong. But until you do it, you don't know. So it's going to be my first live stream. I'm going to live stream on all the platforms. And we're going to do the raffle live. Someone's winning. And we're going to announce the second raffle of what we're giving away. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. Year 1 was epic. I had a great time doing it. Time for a toast. And here's to you guys for being the best fans a podcaster could ask for. Making my tournament an absolute success. All of the sponsors that helped us out and made Bay Rats and Buoys what it is right now and what it is going to be. We have all new sponsorships and podcasts moving into year 2. They will be announced next week. And I got to sign off telling you guys I love you. I absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much. All right, guys, episode 53 is in the books, a year in the wake. That's a great title for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Catch me next week with our first live episode. I will be shitting my pants for sure. You will see me. It doesn't matter what shirt I'm wearing next week. I will be sweating for sure. And, I mean, if I could do it outside, I will. But I might have to do it indoors. We'll see. And we know we have high winds all week. Now, I was trying to get this up by 6 o'clock every week. scheduling is tough because of the wind and the weather on the boat. Some days I did it on Monday. Some days I did it on Wednesday. If I wait until Thursday, I could get screwed by Mother Nature, just like your boating trip. You wait for the weekend, and here comes the bad weather. So there you have it. That's why today it's late. Nothing I could do about it. I hope you love it. Hope you watch it. Hope you enjoyed it. Captain Gaige signing off. Over and out.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. Be sure to visit sandcitycharter.com and follow Captain Gaige on all our social media channels.